Welcome. r/malicious compliance. Phone. Sorry, just my diabetes pump. Just found this sub. This story dates back to my senior year of high school, 2013. My school was quite small. We had a graduating class of 92, so everyone knew everyone. All the teachers were amazing and very involved in our academic lives, but for the most part had nothing but good intentions. Unfortunately, there was one teacher, our English app teacher, who was just an absolute jerk. She was the type of teacher that, if she saw you with your cell phone out, even during lunch, or in between classes, that she would take it, give it to the principal, and give you a detention. I decided to fuck with her one day, because she was quite clearly in a pissed off mood and the opportunity was perfect. I was standing in line for lunch, and I got my pump out. I was diagnosed with diabetes at age 8, and I have had a pump since 9. It looks a whole lot like a cell phone other than the tube running from it to my body. Without really looking closely, it can easily be confused with a cell phone. She sees me playing with my pump and comes over to me. This is obviously not exact words used. I more than likely was a little disrespectful, but I definitely knew the boundaries and would never be so blatantly rude or disrespectful that it would deem necessary to get a detention. Teacher, give it to me now and follow me to the principal's office. Me, no, I need this to live. Teacher, give it to me now, I will not ask again. Me, no, leave me alone, I just want to eat my lunch. She then grabs my arm and drags me to the principal's office. I was very close to the principal as I was the class president, so I spent a lot of time with her planning school events and such. Teacher, this student had their phone out during lunch, refused to give it to me, and was rude and backtalked me. Principal, is this true? Me, no ma'am, my cell phone is currently in my locker. Teacher, I saw you playing with it in line. Principal, me, please give us your cell phone. Me, okay, follow me to my locker then. Teacher, no, give it to us now, it is in your pocket. Me, no it's not. Teacher, then empty your pockets. I proceed to empty my pockets, which was a pack of gum, and then I have my pump in my hand, because it's connected to me, so I can't put it on the table. Teacher, why would you lie to me, when you obviously have it in your hand? Me, this is my diabetes pump. Teacher, why didn't you tell me? Me, you never asked. If it was a cell phone, you just tried taking it away from me. Teacher, this is ridiculous, you need to show more respect. Principal, I think we are done here. Teacher, you can leave, I will talk with me. Teacher leaves and is quite obviously pissed off about the situation. I tell principal the truth about the trap I set for teacher, and that I hope she isn't pissed at me, and I won't do it again. She chuckles a little bit, tells me to go eat lunch and she will see me later for a school fundraiser event. I never had another encounter with teacher, and during class she made it a point to try not to talk to me. I had a coworker do that to me when I was working at a daycare center on my university's campus. At this time, I'd only been diagnosed for a little over a year and had only had my pump for a few months, so I had never experienced someone disrespecting my space like this before. It was nap time, so I pulled it out to check in on myself and silence the alarm before it woke up any babies. It's a T-Slim model, which means it has a full color touchscreen, so looks very much like a phone in dark mode to the untrained eye. I was sitting next to a child, soothing them, when my coworker, room leader, I was an aide, walks up and snatches it out of my hand. I was lucky I grabbed the tube before she ripped it clean off, and she started freaking out at me before she realized she wasn't pulling against her charging cable and that nobody's phone is the size of a wallet. She tried to get me in trouble with the director, but it wound up fizzling into nothing because she was a respected staff member and I was just an aide with access center protection. I wound up quitting for mostly unrelated reasons not long after. This still happens. One of my daughter's best friends had a nearly identical story happen to her in middle school last year, and the teacher did try to physically snatch it from her hands until the painful screaming started. Never even asked, just assumed she had her phone out in the hallways between classes, which she even had special permission to do, as an app on her phone controlled the pump. I have mild Tourette's syndrome, so I get facial tics. Nothing too serious, and no vocal tics, but it can look weird to people who don't know what it is. Anyway, I had a teacher in grade 4 that would regularly kick me out of class for making faces at her, and every time I tried to explain, she would mimic my facial tics and say this isn't what Tourette's looks like. I hope she jokes on a literal turd. Many of them didn't start out that way. Teaching can be a tough career, especially if you work at a public school, where you have everyone from your boss, the parents of your students, as well as various levels of state and / or federal government trying to tell you exactly how to do your job, and blaming you if anyone tests poorly later. While I can't say what caused this teacher to act that way, it's worth keeping in mind that they may have gotten there slowly over years. It also really sucks to change careers midlife, especially if you spent a decade or two thinking you knew exactly when you'd be able to retire. Teacher was still a petty jerk though. Source: I'm teacher. I'm a teacher with a pump. I tend to have a light-hearted relationship with my kids, high school aged, and they tease me. One day, I made an adjustment on my pump, and one kid just says, "Ooh, miss, no phones. You're in trouble." So I show them the pump, do a mini lesson on it, and what it's for, and unhook it from my body, to show them how it works. One girl literally screamed, like I'd just stabbed myself in the hand, "Put it back on or you'll die." Having a pump usually sucks, but sometimes it can be fun. I've never had something like this happen to me, but a friend of mine used the insulin pump as an excuse not to get robbed. She was on the train on a shitty line that links the suburbs to Paris, and two dudes approached her and asked her to give them her phone. I can't. One dude, "Come on, we see it in your pocket, give it." It's my insulin pump. Without it I die. You can't take it. I guess they thought it wasn't worth the trouble, or she started making too much noise, and they moved on. Sometimes ignorance is good. These dudes probably had never seen an actual pump. So next time someone's trying to rob you, tell them it's your life needed insulin pump. Maybe they'll go away. I was about to say that there are pumps now that use cell phones to communicate vital information. When I subbed, there was a student who had a pump and the teacher actually had the app on her phone and carried it on her since she was in elementary school. It was a really dynamic app and would tell her things like how many carbs she could eat at lunch and stuff like that. It also automatically inputted everything to the mom and school nurse. Of course, I didn't have the app and wasn't supposed to carry around my cell, so they had us do everything the old-fashioned way. Her pump communicated with this boxy thing instead, and that went with her to the nurse, who would then take the information and manually put it into the app. I was really impressed with everything and thought about my friends with diabetes growing up and how the world is so much better for them now and continues to get better and better. Something similar happened to my mother about 15 years ago, and she's still endlessly embarrassed about it. She was a substitute teacher and phones were only recently becoming an issue in classrooms. She saw someone fiddling with something under their desk during class, so she went up and asked them to please put it away during class. They turned and pulled out their blood sugar tester and just told her what it was and that it couldn't wait. She was mortified and apologized over and over. She didn't know anyone in the class required it. It's still one of those stories that embarrasses the hell out of her, lol. I never thought of this possibly happening to my 6-year-old. The last few years, everyone has been very informed and attentive, besides a lunch monitor who made him toss his food before he was done on the first day, causing a low. That was just a lack of communication, so I wasn't upset. However, I will encourage my child to have a little fun messing with a teacher if he ever does have an encounter like yours, especially out of ignorance. When we were taking a test, one of the teachers said nothing could be on the desk or in pockets. One girl with a pump obviously couldn't comply, and the teacher humiliated her trying to find a way she could put it on the floor or something. Ugh. Dude, I'm diabetic, and I did this exact same thing, except it was during class. This power-hungry teacher who was always trying to get people in trouble saw me using my insulin pump. I knew she would try and come take it, so I kept fiddling with the buttons after I had given myself insulin that I had forgotten to take earlier. She walked up and said, "Give it to me. Phones aren't allowed in class," and I simply replied, "This is my insulin pump," and she turned white as a sheet and kind of apologized before going back to her lesson. She didn't pick on me very much after that. I had a teacher once tell us about his first year of teaching. He said in one of his classes there was always a beeping noise. One day it was happening again as usual, so he said whoever has their phone out turn it off right now. All the kids looked horrified, and a boy near the back said to him, I can't turn it off. The item making the beeping noise was this kid's heart monitor. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, hit like. If you would like to see more, feel free to subscribe.